Hello, everyone. This is the Crimson Cure, welcoming you to the Crimson Tower, a place where we keep a feminine foot on the neck of the gynocracy, feminism, and black male misandry. So go ahead, pull up a chair, stay a while, and listen.
Okay, we're downloading A-Game's formula.
3, 2, 1.
Hey there, Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel. I am your host, femininity coach, and author of the Crimson Cure, and this is my perspective. So what are we talking about today? I had more thoughts on the Bill Cosby release and his sentence being overturned and people's reaction to that. And I'm not surprised by it, of course. But it is disturbing to see how many Black people, men and women, believe all Beckys. You would have seen Emmett Till's death because a Becky said he did something. No proof, no evidence, no DNA, no witnesses, nothing. Just a Black boy, a Black man did something to me, and I gotta be believed because I'm a Becky or I'm a Karen. How many Black men have to be railroaded or killed or lynched or have their legacies taken or have their reputations destroyed or have their wealth taken from them? Or how many Black men have to actually go through that at the behest of the word of a Becky or a few of them that gather together to say, oh, this one did something to me? First of all, I've seen it all over social media. Well, these women need to be heard and believed. I got a problem with the believed part because you got to prove just sexual assault, just like any other accusation. When it goes to trial, you have to prove that. You got to prove that. And in this gynocratic feminist state, it's running off of the chaos of female energy. And so in that chaos of female energy, you've got all this emotionalism, and you just got to believe it if the story sound emotional. No. Especially when you have some of the accusers having admitted that they fabricated the story, like Janice Dickinson did back in 2018. She admitted that she made the story up that got put in the memoir. Then was on the stand talking about, but I'm telling the truth now because I'm under oath. So don't nobody care about that because your credibility is shot because you made it up the first time to embellish it to get more money for the memoir that was ghostwritten. Plus, we know Janice Dickinson is a drug head from way back. And then we have not to my surprise again, because I'm not surprised by it, but to my chagrin, these male maggles. For those of you who are new to my channel that doesn't know what a maggle is what we basically call a male gynocrat. And these men are subservient to the gynocracy. They think and speak and process information just like a female gynocrat. And they basically perpetuate misandry, right? Especially among Black men. So some of you have probably seen the debate that Mark Lamont Hill got into with Judge Joe Brown about Bill Cosby's sentencing being overturned, his conviction being overturned. And, you know, Mark Lamont got destroyed by Judge Joe Brown because the judge made some very valid points. I'm actually going to play a little bit of that interview. I'm not going to play the whole thing because it's like 20 minutes almost. So, but I am going to let you hear the beginnings of what they're talking about. Mark Lamont could not even control the conversation, and it was on his show, right? So I'm going to let you listen to a little bit of it, and then I want to come back with some more commentary about how we believe the setup every single time, because we're predisposed to seeing Black men as predatory. But we're going to go ahead and let you hear a little bit of this interview. Excuse me.
Welcome back to Black News Tonight. We are here talking once again about the case of Bill Cosby. As you know, he was released to most people's surprise yesterday, walking out of Pennsylvania State Prison because of a very interesting development in his case. And yesterday, many celebrities chimed in on social media. One of TV's most well-known judges, Judge Joe Brown, was one of those people who called out the way that mainstream media had been covering the story. Hours ago, he tweeted, and to be clear, much of this was in response to my wrote, but he said, anyone who was knowledgeable of American law would have expected and predicted the outcome of the Cosby appeal. Mainstream media and Hollywood incite public disorder by lying to the people about the law and encouraging mob rule. Hollywood reacts to Bill Cosby release with shock. Here to discuss his recent comments, joining me now is Judge Joe Brown. Judge, thank you for joining me. Why do you say that mainstream media encourages mob rule?
I've talked to 43 lawyers around the country, 17 judges, and I haven't found one that was shocked by the verdict. Most saw the same thing that I did from day one. This never should have gone to trial. It's a travesty. It's a violation of due process and American law. That is part of this mess that mainstream media is trying to feed into the heads of the citizenry and poison them by saying that their emotions and their feelings are supposed to have paramountcy over what happens within the law. That's not the way it goes. I get people who never even took what they should have gotten in the 4th and 5th grade get to talking about how somebody going to disprove what these women accused Dr. Cosby of. And the truth of the matter is you don't have to. They have to prove that what they claim is true, not the other way around. That's American law. I see too much of this. Show up on the courthouse, voice your opinion, and get the courts to yield to what you believe. That's not the way the law works. That's called mob rule. mob justice. And if you want a more egregious exemplar, take what happened to Emmett Till and every other black man that's been lynched in the history of this country because somebody got emotional and decided to suborn the law, go around it, and do what their emotions drove them to do. So that is the way.
Now, I'm going to pause it right there because Judge Joe Brown said a mouthful. But all of it was the truth. First of all of this emotionalism, feelings over facts, that's not how the law is supposed to work. The fact that we have seen the gynocracy put pressure on politicians, we've seen the gynocracy put pressure on different types of cases where they wanted specific outcomes, and the courts have to yield to that in order to appease the gynocracy itself or whatever, is a complete travesty of the law that's on the books and due process. But as we know, black men have ever been the victims of not actually receiving due process the majority of the time. Majority of the time, black men, whether they're wealthy, famous, not wealthy, impoverished, or whatever the case may be, anytime they show up in front of a judge or a court, they're already at a disadvantage. They're already behind the 8 ball because this country does not value the life, the humanity, or anything else of a black man. They don't honor it. They don't value it. It has no value. It has no worth in this country. So it was easy to lynch a black man. They'll do it now and rule it a suicide. They've done it just in recent years. Black men showing up lynched in different places in the South, and then the police investigation comes up with, oh, well, this looks like a suicide. Like, nobody commits suicide like that, especially men. Men aren't going to go outside somewhere, make a big spectacle of hanging themselves to be found. And that doesn't even make any sense. Typically, when men unfortunately cancel their life subscriptions, they do so quickly, maybe a gun or something like that. They don't dilly-dally with all of these fancy ways in which they're going to do it. And with the history that this country has, why would a black man lynch himself publicly as a form of, why would he do that? That doesn't make sense. But you still have that going on in the 21st century in this country. And so you can't see how Bill Cosby got railroaded by the same exact system, by the same exact narratives that are designed to see black men inherently as monsters, as predators, just waiting to destroy the life of some Becky somewhere. Wasn't that the storyline of The Birth of a Nation? The first one that was made by the Klan? And wasn't that the storyline for that? Wasn't that there to depict black men as these degenerate sexual predators, thieves, murderers that had no morals, no value system, no type of humanity? He would do anything, he would go anywhere, and he would assault anyone that he saw fit. That's the narrative that has been put out since that movie into the culture. It was injected into the culture, lying about the biology of black men and saying that they are inherently biologically violent, which then gave way to We're going to enact this within the policies and change the environment to suit that narrative. This is why when black men go into courtrooms, they're behind the 8 ball. They're at a disadvantage unless, you happen to get a judge that's more fair-minded, or the black man happens to know the law himself, or he happens to be wealthy enough to hire competent lawyers. Other than that, we got people in the comments section under my videos talking about, well, he's not guilty. And, I may or may not go back to this video with Mark Lamont Hill. I'll put it in the description box so that you can go look at how ridiculous he sounds as he goes into a bunch of emotionalism about, well, he probably could have did it. What I want to do, though, is share with you the tweet that he made that caused Judge Joe Brown to respond to him, that preceded this interview, which basically sparked everything off. So I'm going to show you that. So he says, and this was on June 30th, he says, Bill Cosby is not innocent. This is capitalized. He has not been exonerated. His release means that Cosby, and just declare him a predator, was incarcerated within a criminal legal system that has as little regard for its own rules and procedures as he does for his victims. When you have people coming on and saying, okay, what's your problem? That was the tweet that Mark Lamont Hill made about Bill Cosby. He's not innocent. How do you know? How do you know? Were you there 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, when these things were claimed to have taken place? Were you there watching to see if he had done anything wrong? No. The only thing you've got is the word of a bunch of old hags that came out of the woodwork from nowhere. We had never heard hide nor hair of any of these types of allegations, just kind of throughout the years. It would pop up and then it would tamp down and then it would pop up again. No, nothing, absolutely nothing. You didn't hear any type of scandal, especially of that magnitude and of that nature, concerning Bill Cosby's name or his reputation at all. Then all of a sudden, as he's an elderly man, now all of a sudden these other old Beckys, these decrepit old Beckys come out of the woodwork. I remember he gave me a pill. You don't even know what kind of pills you take today. Okay? You don't remember what you had for breakfast this morning, ma'am. So how you gonna tell me you remember some stuff that happened back in 1986, 1979, 1991? How you telling me? How you telling anybody any of this stuff? And it's supposed to be believed. It's supposed to be, you know what I'm saying? Oh, well, we gotta take that. I'm tired of these. When are we gonna get tired of that narrative? Where a bunch of Beckys can come up and say and point to a black man, any of them in the crowd, no matter who he is or what he's been doing or what his reputation has been, good or bad. They can point out and say, he did something to me, and everybody gotta believe that. Even so-called black people gotta believe it as well. Isn't that how many of our neighborhoods got burned down and torn to shreds because a Becky somewhere falsely accused, might I add, a black man of some such indiscrepancy or whatever, or being inappropriate with her or touching her or whatever, and then a angry mob comes along and destroy the whole neighborhood off of the word, no evidence. Didn't need no evidence. Why? Because you already predisposed to believe that black men are guilty of the most heinous crimes that you can accuse them of. It doesn't matter that he's been Bill Cosby. All that we've ever known of him is his comedy, his movie roles, the Cosby Show, you know what I'm saying, Fat Albert, A Different World. That's all that we've known of him. We haven't known anything else about him unless you know him personally. So for all intents and purposes, he has had a stellar reputation as a person and as in his profession. And then all of a sudden, a few old Beckys come out, and all of a sudden, everybody giving him the side eye. Get him old chicks the side eye. Where y'all come from with these stories? Who can corroborate these stories? These stories are old. There's a reason why it's a statute of limitation. Because you can't admit you can't have certain things admissible in court and be evidence based off hearsay and your faulty memory. I don't know what your memory is like and how you remember the details of something happened 90 years ago. It's not even realistic. And for Mark Lamont Hill to so-called be a man, well, he's not innocent. How do you know he's not innocent? He's out, isn't he? Are you having that same smoke for Palm Color Boys? Roman Polanski ain't served a day in nobody's jail. And they've been saying how much of a deviant he is. Cardi B ain't served no day in jail, and she got on her social media and admitted it out of her mouth. No deposition, not under oath, not under nothing. And admitted that she was drugging men and robbing them in her stripper days. But she's a multi-million-dollar superstar now. And everybody, you know what I'm saying, kisses her behind. Nobody brings that up. So if we're going to be emotional, bring that up. Are we going to believe all men when they come out against Cardi B and say, yeah, you know, I remember this was probably about 10 years ago or 5 years ago, 8 years ago, we was at the club in Atlanta and Cardi B, you know, we was in a club in New York and Cardi B was working over there. And I remember just waking up and I didn't have my wallet. And I think it was her that did it. Or are we going to say, no, you got to prove that? We are not just going to arrest her and charge her for something you can't prove. And Judge Joe Brown was correct. If they're the ones doing the accusing, then the burden of proof is on the accuser, not the accused. You can't prove a negative. I can't prove I didn't do something. You have to prove I did do it. And that's basically what they was asking Bill Cosby to do, to prove you didn't do it. No. If they're standing up there accusing me, then like I said, the burden of proof is on them to produce evidence that can convict me beyond a reasonable doubt. And they did not do that because it was basically hearsay. And when you have some of these women coming forward and saying, well, I was paid or I lied or I fabricated parts of the story, then that credibility is gone. So that's basically what I wanted to say about Bill Cosby, how we so readily believe these narratives and they keep pulling the same narrative every time. Becky somewhere points out a black man, said he did something outrageous to her, and everybody, including black people, would turn on that man and say, you know what, he probably did do it. Now, you don't know nothing. Why is her word so golden? What is she, incapable of lying? Her and any woman. And I'm not saying that every woman is lying, but enough of them lie that it doesn't even matter if women lie or not. We're talking about the legality of it all. the due process of it all. If you accuse somebody, you have to prove that they did whatever you're accusing them of. You have to prove that. Man, woman, or child, you got to prove that. And you know we're living in a gynocracy when due process, kind of gets soft when it's a woman sitting up. And I woke up and he was on top of me. Like, nobody can corroborate that. How we know that? Just because she's sitting up there emotional, I can make myself cry like that. Okay? I'm a whole female. We can do that. All I got to think about is some sad stuff that happened to me or something I went through that evokes that emotion. And I can go ahead and put some waterworks on and have somebody convinced of some stuff. That's classic manipulation. Women sitting somewhere being emotional. That doesn't have anything to do with the truth. She still got to prove what she's saying. I don't care if she is sitting up there snotting and crying. Hand her some tissue and make her produce the evidence. That's how you do that. Mark Lamont Hill. And anybody else that thinks like him. So sound off in the comment section. Let me know what you think. I'm going to go ahead and put the link for the debate between Mark Lamont Hill and Judge Joe Brown in the description box. Let me know what you guys think about that debate. Did Mark Lamont have any good points? I don't think that he did, but that's just my opinion. But I would love to hear everybody else's opinion. So once again, sound off in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you have not. Once again, I am your host, The Crimson Cure, and this was my perspective. Bye-bye, Crimsonites.
Hey guys, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. And if you've got more to say on the topic, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to support our sponsor who so graciously supports this channel by clicking the description box and the link for A-Game at agameherbal.com. You can go ahead and get a 10% discount off of your next purchase using the code Kendra10. This has been yet another Crimson Cure production, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.